Hey there. If you've ever found yourself scrolling through Instagram wondering if you're buying the right kind of bread or silently panicking over your snack choice because someone told you online that there's a better version, you're not alone. Today, I want to talk to you about the trend of food swap accounts, the ones where someone walks through the supermarket telling you to put that down and buy this instead. At first glance, they might seem helpful, but I want to offer a different perspective. These accounts are not promoting health, they are promoting fear and shame, and for many of us, they're doing more harm than good. So, quite simply, food fear is not health. These food swap accounts are often framed as educational, but their core message tends to be one of fear. Don't eat that, it has seed oils. This one's full of sugar. You'll be inflamed if you choose this. But here's the thing: when we start to see food as something to fear, it disconnects us from our own body's wisdom. This kind of fear based messaging can feed into a pattern of disordered eating, particularly orthorexia, which is an obsession with eating correctly or clean. So, the stress of trying to make the right choice every time, that in itself can be more harmful than good. So, the National Eating Disorder Association warns that rigid food rules increase the risk of eating disorders, and health psychology journal studies show that food related anxiety is associated with worse physical and emotional well being. And here's the other thing: hypervigilance isn't healthy either. So, many of these videos encourage hypervigilance, this constant scanning for bad ingredients. It makes everyday grocery shopping feel like a test. But health isn't found in obsession. You don't need to dissect every label or fear every unfamiliar ingredient. Being that hyper focused on food is exhausting, and it often steals the simple pleasure of eating. Health is more than what is on a label. Another huge issue: these swaps are usually only focused on things like calories, sugar, clean ingredients, as if those are the only markers of health. But true health is complex. It includes your mental and social well being, not just the food that you eat. So here's a question to ask yourself: does this swap actually taste good to you? Will it keep you full? Can you afford it? Does it work in your family or in your culture? A food that fits your body, your budget, and your life is a healthy choice, even if it doesn't pass someone else's purity test. The World Health Organization defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well being, not just the absence of disease. And that includes joy, comfort, and connection. The other issue is the classism behind food. So many of these accounts are also rooted in privilege. Not everyone can afford the better version. Not everyone has a Whole Foods or boutique health store nearby. Not everyone has the time to compare every label. So when these creators tell you you're making the wrong choice or there's better choices that you can make, they're ignoring the very real factors of access, income, disability, energy. They're turning food into a moral issue, which is unfair and deeply classist. Research from the USDA and numerous public health studies show that access and affordability are huge determinants of nutrition. Placing the burden of choice on the individual completely ignores these systemic issues. And let's just call it what it is: rebranded diet culture. A lot of this swap content is really just diet culture in disguise. When you are told to cut the sugar or save 100 calories or avoid such ingredient, it's restriction repackaged as wellness. We've moved from counting calories to counting chemicals, but the fear and the control are the same. A 2022 study in Appetite found that wellness culture often mirrors the same harmful patterns as traditional dieting. So if it walks like a diet and talks like a diet, it is probably a diet. And what we see happening then is this disconnection from ourselves. Here's what the most frustrating part is: this kind of content teaches us to trust a stranger on the internet over our own bodies. When we swap based on rules instead of tuning inwards, we lose touch with our hunger, our fullness, our preferences, our satisfaction, and that's a really big loss. But there is another way. You can eat in response to how you feel. You can make choices that bring you peace and not panic. You can build trust in your own inner wisdom. Studies on intuitive eating show better physical health, lower disordered eating, and improved mental well being without the need to fear food. And really, it's coming down to oversimplifying nutrition. And let's be real, nutrition is complicated. People study this for a long time in college, and these videos really oversimplify to a dangerous degree. They turn nuanced topics into clickbait. Seed oils are so dangerous, and this is toxic. In reality, we know the dose doesn't matter, context matters. Your overall dietary pattern matters more than any single item. The American Heart Association still recommends unsaturated fats like those in seed oils over saturated fats like those in butter. But that's a detail you will rarely hear in these supermarket swap videos. So when somebody tells you that a food is bad, ask yourself according to who, in what context, and for what body. And let's be real here, shame is not a health strategy. When we eat the wrong thing or we don't have the budget for the right one, these accounts make people feel ashamed. But guilt doesn't make us healthier, it disconnects us from food, from joy, and from ourselves. If you have felt like a failure for eating a snack that wasn't clean enough, please hear this. You did nothing wrong. You do not need to earn your food. You deserve peace in your relationship with eating. And are food swaps always bad? Not necessarily. Some people do find them helpful, especially for medical needs or taste preferences. But when they're shared without nuance, and especially when they're shared with shame or superiority, they stop being helpful and they start being harmful. You are allowed to make choices based on joy or practicality or whatever fits your life. You don't need to follow rigid rules to be healthy. So if you've been caught in the cycle of scrutinizing every label, doubting your food choices, or feeling like you're constantly getting it wrong, I just want to say you are not broken. You don't need fixing. You don't need to earn your food. You don't need to earn your rest. And you certainly do not need to earn your worth. Let's stop moralizing food. Let's stop swapping joy for anxiety. Health isn't about perfect choices, it's about peaceful ones. Thank you for being here. And if this resonated with you, I'd love if you could subscribe, share this with somebody who needs to hear it, or leave me a comment about your own experience navigating food fear online.